Are you ready to make that paper, get that bread, show up at the scene, and leave with the green? Event photography is a good way to do that. So event photography is what we are talking about today. I'm not considering weddings an event. That's another gear set for another video. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. Today I'm building my personal best Nikon Z gear kit for event photography. Based on my past experience, whenever I've shot events, I'm always going to be thinking fairly fast-paced and things that can catch you off guard if I'm not prepared. So it's common for events to have some kind of itinerary, but like everything else, who knows? It may not even start on time, and there's plenty of things that happen that I know wasn't part of the plan, and I know they will want me to get or wish I had. Surprisingly, I find random events for business and charities, etc., easier in the sense of the pressure to perform, but harder in the sense that it's not as cut and dry as a wedding, where things are kind of like we do this first and then the ceremony is going to happen and then the time is planned for portraits and then the reception is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. You never quite know what the event planner had in mind. These are the kind of things I keep in mind when I'm thinking of putting together my perfect Nikon Z gear kit specifically for an event. Let's talk about cameras right after this. Did you know that you can get some awesome perks by becoming a member of the Z8 Photo YouTube channel? Awesome perks like content recommendations, early access to all videos, unique member-only videos, and uncut or uncensored videos. Not everything on YouTube is able to be monetized, and if it can't be monetized, YouTube don't like it. But as a member, you'll get access to everything that YouTube deems unworthy of its algorithm. So fight the man by becoming a member of the Z8 Photo YouTube channel today. Personally, I'm taking the Nikon Z9 as my primary and my Nikon Z8 as a secondary. You could easily take two of each of those cameras, but personally, I like the fact that both cameras are the same internally and produce images that look the exact same. Given the choice, why wouldn't I magic another Z9 into my collection? Well, if I'm going to be on my feet potentially for hours, why not have a secondary camera that's less hefty? Why have two cameras at all? Well, for events, I have one camera that holds one lens the entire time. I mentioned earlier the quasi-unplanned nature of many events that I've worked, and I don't want to be caught with my pants down. Not literally, that's jail time. Figuratively. I don't want to be caught off guard in the middle of a lens change. With that said, let's talk lenses. Personally, my perfect event kit has three lenses: the Nikon Z 24-70 f2.8s, the Nikon Z 50mm f1.2s, and the Nikon Z 14-24mm f2.8s. The Nikon Z 24-70mm f2.8s will be my main driver, and as I mentioned earlier about a lens that never leaves my camera, it's this one. This lens will be used for basically everything, including anything that wasn't really part of the plan. Getting the basics of what the customer expected, you know, the event coverage, the journalistic stuff, the comings and goings. Imagine Z8 just floating around the event. Where'd he go? He's probably snuck off to lift snacks from the refreshments table. No, but you'll find me by the refreshments table using my secondary lens. The Nikon Z 50mm f1.2s will be mounted on my secondary for pretty much the entire time. More on that later. Right now, I'm using this godly piece of glass for decorations, cool shallow depth of field shots of this and that, like the cookies and the cakes that one Karen accused me of stealing earlier. I get the narrow focus of the ambiance with this lens. I'm also using the 50mm f1.2 for some things that are planned. Organized photo shoots, walk-in moments, if I have room to maneuver. You know, key figures and so on when they show up. A final example of use case, let's pretend I'm shooting an event hosted by a large American bank who's celebrating an excellent return on investments at the expense of retail traders and your pensions. Naturally, they invite the Senate and Congress members that they planted who were key in allowing this to happen. Lots of people will be saying, ooh, let me get a picture with Senator X and Y. I'm taking these pictures with the 50mm f1.2s because I prefer the quality from that prime, and since I have a few seconds, I can step back and frame them. But let's be real, they deserve nothing more than the Nikon Z 24-200. So anyone who cries in the comments that I don't like that lens clearly supports corrupt politicians. Checkmate. Finally, the Nikon Z 14-24 f2.8s is a very important lens for my events, even though I may only use it once. The lens is only going to be used to gather the full ambiance of the event. And that is important because I know that my photography competitors are not commonly doing that in my area. So it's a collection of shots that allows me to kind of set myself apart from the rest. I'll try to get the whole event space before the event starts, and at least one while the event is at its climax, with everyone enjoying or pretending to enjoy the event. After that, it's going back in the bag. So how do I shoot an event? Before everything starts, bam, I'm there early, on the clock with the Nikon Z9 and the 14-24 f2.8s for that wide, empty event shot. I dismount the 14-24, in the bag it goes. The Nikon Z9 gets loaded with the 24-70, the Nikon Z8 gets loaded with the 51-2, and I'm starting at the refreshment tables and any cool shallow depth of field stuff that I see elsewhere if there's time. If there isn't time, I'll get those shots during the dull moments of the event. People are floating in, and I'm Z9ing the comings and goings with the 24-70 when all of a sudden, boom, the lights dim. I knew this was coming though, so I rock and roll power slide into a predetermined position where I've already framed walk-ins with the 50mm f1.2s. Annoyingly uplifting corporate music is playing, and as quickly as the hype picked up, it awkwardly stops, and I'm back on the 24-70 floating around the event. This might be a good time to swap the 50mm on the Z8 for the 14-24 for that wide event shot where everyone is kind of doing their thing. But I am remaining on alert in case I need to move for something that I wasn't expecting. That's why I always have the 24-70 on the Z9. I get that quick shot, switch back to the 50mm f1.2s, and I run the rest of the event with the Nikon Z9 with the 24-70 and the Z8 with the 51-2. Let's recap. The Nikon Z9 is my primary camera for 5696 new or 4800 used. The Nikon Z8 is my secondary camera for 3996 new or 3600 used. The Nikon Z 24-70 f2.8s is my primary lens that never stops for 2396 new and 1814 used. The Nikon Z 50mm f1.2s is my secondary lens that hardly stops for 2096 new and 1700 used. The Nikon Z 14-24 f2.8s for my specialty shots for 2496 new and 2059 used, bringing our cost for this kit at the making of this video to 16,680 new and 13,973 used in excellent condition. Events cost the hosts money. Photographers gotta have their cut too. Let us know in the comments what your perfect event kit is. And if you want to see my other perfect gear kits for other types of photography, subscribe to the channel and consider becoming a member. I'm Z8, the Z8, and Z8 Photo. Stay sharp, YouTube.